This page is the cover of Nintendo Power Magazine, Volume 103, from December 1997. Featured prominently are Diddy Kong and Crunch from Diddy Kong Racing, highlighting a 16-page adventure guide for the game. Also advertised are first 100 shots of Zelda 64, an early look at the highly anticipated title. The cover also teases coverage on Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero with survival tactics, and a feature plays section covering games like Bomberman 64, Automobili Lamborghini, Chameleon Twist, and Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98. This page is an advertisement for subscribing to Nintendo Power Magazine, suggesting creative ways like hint cards to ask for a subscription. It highlights the content and offers a price and phone number. This page serves as the contents page for the December 1997 issue, packed with hot strategies and features for Nintendo 64 and other systems. Headlining the issue are deep dives into Diddy Kong Racing, promising tips on tricks, shortcuts, and maps, and Bomberman 64 with an explosive strategy guide. A massive special feature showcases Zelda 64 with 100 exclusive photos and details. You'll also find strategy coverage for games like Chameleon Twist, MK Mythologies, Wayne Gretzky 3D Hockey 2, Automobili Lamborghini, Wheel of Fortune, and Donkey Kong Land 3. The page is vibrantly illustrated with characters from Diddy Kong Racing, Bomberman, and Zelda 64, visually reinforcing the issue's major focuses. Regular sections including Player's Pulse, Power Charts, Classified Information, and Pack Watch are also listed, making this issue a must-read for late 90s Nintendo gamers. This page presents the Player's Pulse section, showcasing reader feedback regarding the magazine's recent Top 100 Games list. A major point of discussion is the placement of GoldenEye 007 at number 7, sparking debate among readers who either celebrate it as the best game ever or question its ranking so soon after release, with one even criticizing its realism. Other classic and recent games are brought up, including overlooked favorites like River City Ransom, games thought to be ranked too high or low like Wave Race 64, Tetris Attack, and the original Legend of Zelda, plus mentions of Rygar, Uncharted Waters, Civilization, and Aerobiz. Scattered throughout are vibrant fan art pieces featuring characters from Killer Instinct, Mario, Mischief Makers, and Doom 64. The page also includes the magazine's staff credits and a humorous note about Luigi in its 100 Other Things section. This page features the power charts, ranking the top games across Nintendo 64, Super NES, and Game Boy. GoldenEye 007 dominates the N64 list, while classics like The Legend of Zelda and Super Mario RPG hold strong positions on the SNES chart. The Game Boy chart is led by Link's Awakening and Donkey Kong Land 2. The letters section continues, featuring reader feedback including a funny observation about Star Fox 64 finances and thoughts on the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Nintendo Power staff attend a WCW wrestling event related to a new game. A heartfelt tribute is paid to the late Gunpei Yokoi, acknowledging his immense contributions to gaming with creations like the Game & Watch and Game Boy. The page also includes a directory for contacting Nintendo and a list of most wanted upcoming games. This page dives deep into Diddy Kong Racing, the unique adventure on wheels and wings and water from Rare. It focuses on the core challenges you'll face. The Gold Balloon Challenge, where winning races gets you balloons to unlock new areas, and the tougher Silver Coin Challenge, requiring you to collect coins during races. You'll also take on the Boss Challenge, facing off against unique characters like Bubbles and Tricky who race differently. Taj the Elephant is introduced as your helpful genie guide, providing vehicles and advice as you progress through Timbers Island to eventually challenge the main antagonist, Whizpig. It highlights the progression and escalating difficulty of the game's challenges. This page dives into the items and vehicles that make Diddy Kong Racing unique. Scattered across the tracks, you'll find balloons containing power-ups. Red balloons give you missiles, blue balloons provide speed boosts, green balloons offer droppers to slow opponents, yellow balloons grant protective shields, and rainbow balloons contain magnets to pull you ahead. Don't forget the bananas either. Collecting them boosts your top speed. The game also features 3 distinct vehicles you'll master. Cars handle like classic racers with a power slide, planes allow for full 3D movement but require precise control, and hovercraft navigate both water and land and can even hop, offering strategic shortcuts. Learning the nuances of each item and vehicle is essential to conquering Timbers Island. This page introduces the colorful cast of furry, fearless drivers in Diddy Kong Racing. You'll meet the hero Diddy Kong, an all-around balanced racer, and Crunch, the heavy Kremling with poor handling but top speed. The island's resident tiger, Timber, is a solid middle-range character, while Conquer the squirrel is described as having similar attributes to Timber. On the lighter side, there's Pipsy the mouse, a lightweight with great handling and acceleration but medium top speed, and Tipped Up the turtle, who excels in all vehicles except hovercraft thanks to his high acceleration and handling. The lineup also includes Banjo the bear, a heavy character with good handling and excellent top-end speed, and Bumper the badger, another middle-range driver with solid handling across all vehicles. The page provides a look at each character and their general racing style, hinting at who might be best suited for different tracks or vehicles introduced on the previous page. This page delves into the courses found in the Dino Domain world of Diddy Kong Racing. It details 4 distinct tracks, starting with Ancient Lake, highlighting the surprise dinosaur and the importance of hitting zippers for speed. Next up is Jungle Falls, a track filled with items, tunnels, and shortcuts, emphasizing the need for immediate power slides at the start. Fossil Canyon is presented as a greater challenge requiring precise steering and power slides, featuring water crossings and tunnel shortcuts, with a pole position advantage if you won Ancient Lake. Finally, Hot Top Volcano introduces the game's first plane race, where staying away from walls and rocks is crucial, showcasing shortcuts like twin tunnels, narrow scrapes, air zipping, and the final dino dodging section with boost zippers. The page provides key tips and screenshots for navigating challenging sections and finding advantages on each track. This page navigates the icy tracks of Diddy Kong Racing, following the previous world's guide. It begins with Snowflake Mountain, offering tactics like a starting boost, an air zipper shortcut over a cliff, another air zipper in a tunnel, watch the ceiling, and a ground zipper for planes near the end, illustrated with shots and featuring Conquer. Next, Snowball Valley challenges racers with giant snowballs and water hazards, presenting a strategic choice between a safe cliff path or a narrow expert tunnel route. Shields are key against snowballs, and zippers provide crucial boosts. Walrus Cove is a winding course through frigid waters, accessible with gold balloons, highlighting an icy loop acceleration, power slides for double zippers on a bridge, an air zipper exit from a cave, and an ultimate shortcut on the backstretch, featuring Tiny Kong. Finally, Frosty Village mixes shortcuts and long cuts, stressing avoiding deep snow. Tips include aiming for the central arch zipper, using power slides in the tunnel for bananas, finding a critical exit zip, and hitting the final zipper near the shore, with screenshots showcasing these strategies. This page delves into the Sherbet Island world of Diddy Kong Racing. Whale Bay, a hovercraft course, offers tips like hitting the beach for a tight corner, using a whale as a ramp to reach a pirate ship deck, navigating the deck with a power slide, and hitting a final water zipper, illustrated with shots featuring Banjo. Pirate Lagoon, another hovercraft track requiring 13 gold balloons, emphasizes sharp turns and open water speed. Strategies include using water zippers after the first island and at the end of the first straightaway, boosting down a tunnel after grabbing a balloon, and hitting a ramp zipper for a shortcut. The page also previews Crescent Island and Treasure Caves, highlighting Crescent's focus on missile collection and banana boosts, and Treasure Cave's road race nature with pirate wrecks, and the importance of clearing the track ahead. Screenshots show gameplay from these upcoming tracks, featuring Tiny Kong. This page continues the Diddy Kong Racing coverage by moving to the Dragon Forest world. It details 4 tracks: Windmill Plains, a plane race emphasizing shortcuts over obstacles and using ground zippers; Boulder Canyon, a challenging hovercraft course recommending heavier drivers and focusing on blue balloon boosts; Greenwood Village, a difficult road race with a shortcut through a wishing well in the town square and tough final turns; and Haunted Woods, a spooky track filled with hazards like oil slicks, mines, and bubbles, recommending caution around corners. Screenshots illustrate key moments and tips for each track. This page moves on to the boss challenges in Diddy Kong Racing. It covers the 4 boss characters you'll face in races after completing each world. Tricky the Triceratops is a car race where you should wait for him to tire and use missiles. Bubbler the Octopus challenges you to a tricky hovercraft race filled with mines, suggesting getting ahead to avoid them. Bluey the Walrus is a hovercraft race requiring you to take and maintain the lead, recommending heavier drivers. Finally, Smokey the Dragon is a plane race where you must avoid his smoke and utilize boosts to win. Each section provides strategic tips and a map highlighting key points for the race. This page kicks off a major feature on Zelda 64, promising the first 100 screenshots. It highlights the massive anticipation for the game since the N64 launched, and praises the amount of information finally being released by Shigeru Miyamoto's team. A section titled, Link Comes of Age, details the early story outline. Link leaves his forest home for a coming-of-age ceremony, saves a fairy from a monster, learns about Ganondorf's search for the Triforce, and must help Princess Zelda find 3 magical stones. Another section, Hyrulean Heavies, discusses the enemies, noting that only about 30% will be familiar from previous games, with many having new 3D forms. It mentions the return of Stalfos and Levers, along with new foes like Lizalfos, Goma, and Dodongo Jr., emphasizing that combat in 3Ds will offer new challenges. Screenshots showcase various in-game scenes and enemy encounters, while wireframes illustrate the 3D character models. This page continues the expansive coverage of Zelda 64, focusing on the game's environments and combat. A section titled Places to See highlights the vast variety of locations players will explore, including towns, forests, deserts, swamps, and dungeons, promising realistic lighting, fog, and dramatic camera angles to set the mood. Shigeru Miyamoto explains that the 3D environment makes the game distinct from previous entries, leading to the development of a new camera system and special movements for Link to prevent player frustration. The combat system is detailed in The Face of Battle, confirming Link will use familiar weapons like swords and bows, with new attack animations, and strategic options like dodging and retreating. Returning enemies are designed to require specific tactics, making combat more strategic than simple button mashing. The game is expected to feature the most advanced camera system on the N64, providing the best perspective during gameplay, with Link's fairy companion, Navy, even assisting in battle. This page delves into how Link gets around the world of Zelda 64, highlighting the significant improvement in transportation with the addition of a rideable horse. It mentions that previous games primarily involved foot travel or rafts. According to EAD, the horse's motion is very realistic, comparable to playing a racing game. The page notes that Link has a wide range of physical abilities in the 3D environment, including hanging, climbing, running, walking, tiptoeing, turning, jumping, and likely swimming. It also mentions that the game will use the Rumble Pack to enhance the feeling of motion. Shigeru Miyamoto is quoted as stating that the horse's main purpose is transportation, but it's also simply fun to ride, and fast travel warps will also be available across the world. The page features numerous screenshots showcasing Link riding the horse, using his bow, climbing obstacles, and interacting with the environment. The text also suggests players will need to push walls to find secret areas, a staple of the series. This page delves into the mysteries, characters, and technical aspects of Zelda 64. It highlights the numerous mysteries players will encounter, including time travel that shows Link at different ages with varying abilities. Solving puzzles is a key element, noted as a potential highlight by fans. Shigeru Miyamoto mentions using the special camera system, music, and sound effects to evoke emotion. Behind the scenes, the game is noted as the largest N64 game, promising significant innovation and stunning 3D graphics with realistic effects like lighting and shadows. The release date is dependent on Miyamoto's ensuring the highest quality, indicating potential delays for a better final product. Screenshots illustrate lifelike animation, character interactions, Link using items like the ocarina, and hint at Ganon's transformation into the main antagonist. This page introduces the unique gameplay of Chameleon Twist, with a section titled Basic Training. It highlights how the game stands out by featuring a blue chameleon character whose primary tool is its long, sticky tongue. The page details key abilities such as tongue lashing to grab enemies and items, spit that out for projectile attacks, using the tongue for a pole vault to clear gaps, and the tongue twister move which allows the character to swing. Screenshots illustrate each of these core mechanics, emphasizing the unique action players will experience in this twisted world adventure. The next page features Jungle Land and Ant Land from Chameleon Twist on Nintendo 64. It shows maps of both levels, including locations of crowns, hearts, enemies, swing poles, and secret doors. The page also offers tips on navigating obstacles like minecarts, rock giants, spiders, and army ants. The reviewer gives gameplay hints for specific challenges such as riding rails, avoiding rocks, cracking eggs, finding hidden crowns, tripping daddy longlegs, and dealing with marching ants. This page continues with Chameleon Twist on Nintendo 64, now focusing on Bombland and Desert Castle. Maps are provided, showing the placement of crowns, hearts, and enemies. There are gameplay tips for navigating each level, including using explosives, avoiding quicksand, dealing with bomb guys, and pole vaulting. Hints are given for specific challenges, like clearing paths, swinging across chasms, and overcoming obstacles, such as cannonballs and sand traps. The next page showcases the final levels of Chameleon Twist, Kids Land, and Ghost Castle. Maps detail the locations of crowns, hearts, and enemies. Gameplay tips are provided for navigating these levels, including dealing with chocolate kids, floating cookies, pogo stick giants, and ghostly apparitions. Hints are given for specific challenges like tongue swinging, mirror shattering, candle lighting, and pole vaulting. The objective is to collect crowns and defeat the bosses in each level. This page provides tips on how to beat the bosses in Chameleon Twist, detailing their weaknesses and strategies for defeating them in Jungle Land, Antland, Bombland, Desert Castle, Kids Land, and Ghost Castle. It also covers the game's battle mode, with a stage select screen showing survival match and time trial options. The survival match is described as a mode where players must last the longest by pushing opponents off the edge. Time trial challenges players to stay on the platform and knock opponents off, with docked time for falling off. The page includes screenshots of gameplay in both modes. The next page is a feature on Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero for the Nintendo 64. It delves into the game's shift from arena fighting to a side-scrolling action-adventure. The game promises a blend of fighting, adventure, and puzzle solving, where players control Sub-Zero, embarking on a quest that involves exploration, accumulating experience points, and using special moves. The page also gives control scheme tips. This page is a strategy guide for Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero on the Nintendo 64, continuing directly from the prior page that talked about the game's shift in gameplay. It presents level walkthroughs for the Shaolin Temple and Wind Realm stages. The guide gives tips on overcoming obstacles such as booby-trapped pillars, platforming challenges, and enemy encounters. It also describes how to defeat Scorpion using a specific combo, as well as tips on collecting the map of the elements, navigating windmills, and exploiting wind updrafts. The page emphasizes gaining experience points by battling enemies. The next page continues the strategy guide for Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero on the Nintendo 64. It offers a walkthrough for overcoming obstacles in the Wind Realm, such as tricky platforming, rope swings, and unstable platforms. The guide also provides instructions on obtaining the 3 wind icons required to face the Wind God, and gives tips on how to beat the boss. The next page provides a walkthrough for the Earth Realm in Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero. It details how to navigate various traps, including pitfalls, pendulums, and crushers. The guide also explains how to collect essential items and defeat enemies like the levitating monks. Finally, it describes the strategy for defeating the Earth God by releasing a heavy platform onto its head, including the steps to take and tremors to count. This page offers a walkthrough for the Water Realm in Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero. It guides players through collecting 3 water icons by navigating sewer pipes, dodging monks, and electric eels. The guide details unlocking doors, opening floodgates, and battling the Water God, including strategies to freeze him during his transformations. The page also includes a maze map, pinpointing the locations of items and power-ups. The next page features a review of Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98 for the N64. It suggests that while it's a solid hockey game, it might not be worth buying if you already own the previous version, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey. The page also mentions that cheat codes for the original game work for the new version, and hints at finding codes in Volume 95. The page shows screenshots of gameplay, team selection, and the game's interface. The page includes images of wrestlers Sting and Hulk Hogan, and also mentions Nintendo Power. This page gives tips for Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98 on the N64, including arcade mode power shots like setting the net on fire and blasting the goalie. It details new menus and options, such as tracking league leaders in goals, assists, and points, and trading players without salary cap restrictions. It also shows how to perform one-timers and turbo power shots, highlighting defensive strategies like heavy traffic in front of the net. Finally, the page explains the anger meter and how to trigger fights. The page also showcases the new player cards feature, allowing stat tracking of goals, assists, and hat tricks. The next page is focused on Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98 for Nintendo 64 and offers player and team information. It presents Power's top picks, showcasing top players from different teams and conferences, such as Joe Sakic, Paul Kariya, Steve Yzerman, and Wayne Gretzky. It also presents team statistics for the Eastern and Western Conferences, including wins, losses, goals for and against, and points, to aid in picking a winning team. A segment called Power's Rising Stars for 1998 features up-and-coming players like Sergei Berezin and Joe Thornton. This page showcases a collection of cheat codes and tips for various games. For Mace, the Dark Age, it provides codes for unlocking characters like Pojo and Grendel, changing character colors, stage selection, and enabling modes like Small Fighters and Big Head. Extreme Egg has tips for changing your player name to fun variations like Fisheye or Ugly Mode. Secret of Evermore includes a trick for unlimited running. Finally, for Dark Rift, there's a code to unlock Sonork and Demitron, along with some suggested combos for these characters. The next page features cheat codes and tips for several games. For Clayfighter 63 1/3, there's a random select option. GoldenEye 007 has a trick to play with multiple of the same character in multiplayer. War Gods gets some love with combo suggestions for Anubis, Pagan, Kabuki Joe, and Vala. Mr. Doe is featured with codes for extra lives, stage select, and changing the name. There's also a correction regarding a previously published Star Wars Shadows of the Empire code. This page showcases Bomberman 64, highlighting both its single-player adventure and explosive multiplayer battles. It details gameplay features like pumped bombs, remote bombs, and power bombs, and gold cards, plus extra bombs and fire power-ups. The article also describes battle arenas, including Rock Garden, Up and Down, Pyramid, Greedy Trap, Top Rules, and Field of Grass, giving tips for each. We also see the Build a Bomber feature, with customizable heads, legs, arms, and body. Character designs for Sirius, Altair, Artemis, Regulus, and Orion are also featured. This page is a guide to help players navigate through Bomberman 64. It starts with an overview of the 6 worlds to explore, mentioning that the Green Garden world is the easiest. The guide provides specific instructions and tips for stages 1, 2, 3, and 4. For stage 1, called Green Garden, the guide explains how to access a switch by kicking bombs through a slot and destroying columns. It also details how to find other switches and use warps. Stage 2 is Sirius, where players battle the boss by kicking bombs and using pumped bombs. Stage 3 details how to launch a lift, warp in the wall, find the goal area. Finally, Stage 4 is Draco, where the target is to clip the dragon's wings using remote bombs while avoiding Draco's attacks. This page is a continuation of the Bomberman 64 guide, focusing on the Blue Resort level. Stage 1 requires using bombs to create bridges, while Stage 2 involves avoiding cannons to reach a switch to cut off the canal's water supply. In Stage 3, players must close a canal and then hit a switch to stop water flow. The final stage, 4, requires finding a switch in a building that was previously underwater. It also provides tips on how to kick bombs, including stunning enemies and reaching otherwise inaccessible areas. The page also highlights the boss battles in Stages 2, Artemis, and Stage 4, Leviathan, giving strategies on how to defeat them. This page continues the Bomberman 64 guide, now focusing on the Red Mountain stages. Stage 1 involves navigating fiery terrain and using shortcuts. Stage 2 has you taking a precarious detour for remote bombs. Stage 3 requires using levers and taking out stoplights, while Stage 4 involves destroying corner supports to reach the exit. The page also gives boss strategies for Orion and Hades, advising players to avoid close combat with Orion and detailing how to dodge attacks from Hades. The next page is a Counselor's Corner, offering tips for 2 games. First, The Lost Vikings 2 has a short guide detailing the solution to a pop quiz in Stage 30, and a strategy for defeating Tomater in the final battle. The other game featured is GoldenEye 007, where the article tells you where to find the flight recorder in Statue Park, the location of Valentin in Mission 6, and how to destroy the bottling tanks with 3 mines. This page is a Q&A section focusing on providing tips and tricks for specific games. Duke Nukem 64 has instructions on reaching a submarine and navigating gears in the toxic dump maze, as well as instructions on how to get to the Hollywood convenience store. Donkey Kong Land 3 gives advice on reaching a bonus barrel in Black Ice Blitz, and another in Rocketeer Rally. The page also includes a Q and a Fast Facts, with tips for mischief makers, Top Gear Rally, and Arkanoid, Do It Again. The next page offers a preview of Automobili Lamborghini for the N64. It highlights the game's multiplayer capabilities, various modes like Arcade, Championship, and Circuit, and mentions the ability to reverse tracks. The page includes screenshots showcasing the game's graphics and gameplay, and also touches on the game's competition with other racing titles such as Top Gear Rally and MRC. This page showcases Automobili Lamborghini for the Nintendo 64, highlighting the game's pit stop mechanics. It details how tire wear and fuel consumption necessitates pit stops, with tips on fueling up efficiently and changing tires quickly. It also touches on the different car types available in the game, from standard to high-performance models, and their varying performance characteristics. Screenshots illustrate the pit stop process and the different Lamborghini models. This page provides tips and tricks for excelling in Automobili Lamborghini on the Nintendo 64 across 6 tracks. It gives advice on cornering techniques, finding hidden shortcuts, and using 4-wheel slides to navigate tricky turns. Screenshots accompany each track, showing ideal racing lines and potential hazards. The page also emphasizes the importance of maintaining speed and avoiding collisions with walls or other cars, while the track maps show the best lines. This page is an advertisement for Wheel of Fortune on the Nintendo 64. It boasts realistic gameplay and features like Vanna White video clips and Rumble Pack support. The ad details the game's features, including choosing from 6 characters, different game lengths, difficulty settings, and a brief history of Wheel of Fortune games on Nintendo consoles. The release dates for past versions of Wheel of Fortune on NES, Game Boy, and SNES are also listed. The next page focuses on the Nintendo 64 game Wheel of Fortune. It details gameplay elements such as the top dollar amounts in each round, the jackpot space, and the bonus round. It gives tips for playing against both human and computer opponents, such as being conservative with vowel purchases and spinning for more cash if behind. The page also shows an image of Vanna White and includes practice puzzles. This page is a contest advertisement from Nintendo Power, asking, "Who will rule the ring?" in WCW vs. New World Tour for the Nintendo 64. The grand prize is a trip to the Bash at the Beach, including a pre-event party with wrestlers and a copy of the game. 5 second prize winners will receive official World Tour jackets, and 50 third prize winners will get Nintendo Power t-shirts. Readers are encouraged to vote, with the tagline, "Your vote counts." The next page continues coverage of Donkey Kong Land 3, focusing on the Lost World levels. It highlights stages like Whiplash Dash, Kuchuka Carnage, Haunted Hollows, Rainforest Rumble, Barrel Boulevard, and Ghoulish Grotto, giving brief descriptions and showing screenshots. There's also a section dedicated to the boss fight Last Stand against K. Rulenstein. Wrinkly Kong and the Brothers Bear are mentioned with their refuge and sheepy shop, respectively. Overall, it's a walkthrough guide to the final world in the game. The next page covers 2 levels from Donkey Kong Land 3, Whiplash Dash and Kuchuka Carnage. Whiplash Dash involves navigating a runaway sled and jumping out to defeat Coin, offering advice on timing jumps to avoid enemies. Kuchuka Carnage features surly enemies, with tips on avoiding their bombs and using floating platforms. There's also advice on taking the high road and watching out for carbines. This page details 2 levels from Donkey Kong Land 3. The first, Haunted Hollows, advises players to ignore the banana trails to avoid lurchins, stick to walls and ceilings, and collect bear coins. The second level, Rainforest Rumble, features Ellie the elephant, requiring quick reflexes and strategic use of her trunk to avoid sneaks and bristles. It also mentions a Squawks barrel and an Ellie barrel. The next page showcases 2 levels from Donkey Kong Land 3, Barrel Boulevard and Ghoulish Grotto. Barrel Boulevard provides alternate routes, highlighting locations for bear coins and 1-up balloons, and tips for using Dixie Spin and invisible barrel cannons. Ghoulish Grotto features squawks and ghost barrels, advising players on how to avoid enemies like copters and bristles. It gives instructions on using ghost barrels to reach bonus barrels and 1-up balloons. This page presents 3 challenges for gamers. The first is a Harvest Moon challenge, tasking players to earn 1,000,000 gold in 2.5 years, hinting at strategy advice in Volume 96. The second challenge is for Mario Kart 64, focusing on the Calamari Desert track and shortcuts. A results table showing the fastest times is included. The third challenge involves Star Fox 64, inviting players to achieve the highest score by flying a difficult route, with a screenshot of the ranking. A mix and match section tests knowledge of game geography, matching locations to their games, like Jimbei Land to Star Fox 64, the Mushroom Kingdom to Super Mario 64, and Hyrule to The Legend of Zelda. The page also features high-score leaderboards for games like Blast Corps, Super Mario 64, Killer Instinct Gold, Kirby's Superstar Deluxe, Super Punch-Out, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, Wave Race 64, and Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey. The next page features reviews of 3 games for the N64. Chameleon Twist is reviewed, commenting on its graphics, gameplay, design, and satisfaction, with an overall score of 5.9. Diddy Kong Racing is also reviewed, praising its graphics, play control, game design, and satisfaction, with a score of 8.6. Finally, Automobili Lamborghini is reviewed, with graphics, control, design, satisfaction, and sound being commented on, and achieving an overall score of 6.6. This page features reviews for 3 different N64 games. First, there is Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero, with screenshots shown. Reviewers comment on the graphics, play control, game design, and sound, with an overall rating of 4.3. Next, we see a review of Wheel of Fortune, and the reviewer mentions the Vanna White video clips included in the game. Reviewers gave their opinion on graphics, play control, design, satisfaction, and sound, and an overall rating of 6.1. Lastly, there is Bomberman 64. Reviewers give their thoughts on graphics, play control, game design, satisfaction, and sound, along with an overall rating of 7.0. The page also includes information about the game evaluators and how the ratings are determined, as well as a section on age ratings. This page begins with POCWatch, announcing previews of Forsaken, Nagano Winter Olympics 98, and more upcoming titles. There is also mention of an inside look at Boss Studios' Twisted Edge Snowboarding. The Forsaken section discusses the game's premise of galactic scavenging in a devastated solar system. Players take on the role of intergalactic opportunists battling human mutants. The review highlights that while the screenshots are from the PC version, the graphics are very similar to the N64 version. The second section of the page is dedicated to Nagano Winter Olympics 98. It mentions the inclusion of curling, luge, bobsled, speed skating, giant slalom snowboard, freestyle skiing, and ski jumping. The controls are described as tricky. The reviewer also notes the challenge level, special effects like ice reflections, and the surprising fun of the curling event. The next page features game previews. First up is Turok, Battle of the Bionosaurs for Game Boy, where the reviewer notes that this version stands on its own compared to the N64 version. It highlights the game's action-packed nature, intricate side-scrolling levels, and the familiar items and enemies from the N64 game. The reviewer praises the excellent play control and graphics, recommending it for Game Boy veterans seeking something new. Next is WWF, Raw is War for the N64. It questions whether the N64 can handle 2 wrestling franchises, and notes that Acclaim's WWF, Raw is War, is competing with THQ's WCW vs. NW, World Tour. The reviewer expresses confidence in the game, citing Sculptured Software's development and track record. They mention that the testers were excited, and that the designers understand the need to compete with the quality of WCW. The game will feature up to 4 players, a large roster of wrestlers like The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, British Bulldog and Shamrock, and Royal Rumble action. Finally, The Lost World for Game Boy, based on the Jurassic Park sequel. It mentions the game as a side-scrolling action title. This page covers boss games, and their title, Twisted Edge Snowboarding, for the N64. It discusses the team behind the game, including Colin Gordon, VP of Product Development, and Brian Johnson, the lead artist and designer. The game aims to be a fun, arcade-style experience, with a story mode featuring international characters, as opposed to a straight simulation. It will include modes like player competition, tournament, stunt scoring, and a hidden story mode. The page also details the track design process, with artists using specialized software to create unique courses, and emphasizes the game's 64 megabit game pack, with Rumble Pack and Controller Pack compatibility. It briefly talks about future projects from Boss Games, including a racing game and an adventure. Jake Kosdal, the official snowboarding expert, is also mentioned. The next page previews several upcoming games. All-Star Baseball 98 is being developed for the N64, promising realistic gameplay and detailed player models. Wario Land 2 is coming to Game Boy, introducing pirates and altered states for Wario, such as Zombie Wario and Fat Wario. The N64 update section discusses Natsume's Sumo 64 and other games in development. ASC2 is considering publishing Arrowgwidge, and Hudson Soft is polishing Dual Heroes and Last Legion UX. Nintendo is developing Pocket Monster projects for the N64. There is also talk of esports titles including Andretti Racing, NASCAR Racing, Madden 99, NBA Live 98, NHL Hockey 98, and Need for Speed. Crave Entertainment is introduced as a new N64 publishing company. Finally, there's a release forecast section, listing upcoming 64 titles with their projected release windows, including Banjo-Kazooie, Body Harvest, and Earthworm Jim 3. It mentions many games including Dracula 3D, Dual Heroes, Earthbound 64, Zero 64 Forsaken, Gex 2, Enter the Gecko, Hybrid Heaven, Jeopardy, Knife Edge, Last Legion UX, Mission Impossible, and many more. Additionally, there is a small section for Super NES and Game Boy game releases. This page highlights Yoshi's Story, WCW vs. NWO World Tour, and Snowboard Kids, 3 games previewed in this issue, with descriptions and screenshots. A subscriber bonus issue is announced, offering exclusive previews of incredible 1998 games, interviews, photos, and new game highlights. There is also a detailed back issue section, and a list of many games that are available from previous Nintendo Power issues. Additionally, there is an advert with plushies of Mario, Luigi, Wario, Toad, Donkey Kong, Yoshi, and Bowser, and details to buy them directly from Nintendo.